Places you don't talk about at parties. You want me on that wall. You need me on that wall.
Keep this frequency clear.
And now it's conspiracy. See, they've made that something that should not be even entertained for a minute. That powerful people might get together and have a plan. Doesn't happen. You're a kook. You're a conspiracy buff.
Good evening, everyone across the country, and maybe even good night to some of you who are listening abroad. You're listening to the Truth Tonight Talk Radio. I'm your host today, Roxy Lopez. I want to give everybody a reminder to tune in Thursday through the GIC network for TTiV TV. I'm the host of TTiV TV. We're going to continue the GMO conversation. I also want to thank our guest from last week, Scott Kennedy, who did a fabulous job, and we've got a lot of emails regarding that show. Scott Kennedy's media personnel contacted me today, and they want to do something to help promote me. So yay, 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 clap, clap, clap. That's just I've never had that happen before with a guest. So Scott Kennedy is represented by a media group, Steve Allen, actually. And so they contacted me, said whatever they can do, whatever I'll let them do. So we're going to have a conversation about that in the future. I appreciate it. And like you can't believe, today our guest is a reporter. He's been on the show before. His name is Bob Powell.
That's bringing your listeners up to speed with where I'm at now. I'm fine. I'm going to live. And that's bad news for the powers that be. Because I don't even want to mention his name, but Alex Jones ain't got jack on me. If I had his resources, I'd be a one-man wrecking crew. Once I latch on to a story, I don't give up until I find the truth of it. So that's bad news for the powers that be, because what I'm doing now is going after the truth of what's happening in Syria. What happened in Libya was a CIA-sponsored coup. What happened in Egypt was also helped along by the CIA. The United States government, in all of these Arab Spring countries, is supporting the Muslim Brotherhood in order to take over power of these countries. Now, Egypt and Libya and Tunisia were relatively moderate Muslim countries. Now they are run by hardcore Islamists. The black al-Qaeda flag flies over Benghazi today because the Muslim Brotherhood and al-Qaeda are linked at the hip. Ayman al-Zawahiri, the number 2 man in al-Qaeda under Osama bin Laden, I guess he's number 1 now, joined the Muslim Brotherhood when he was 14 years old. They share the same ideology, which is to bring the entire world under Muslim domination and install Sharia law, which is exactly what they've done in all of these Arab Spring countries. And now the powers that be are doing the same thing in Syria. Syria was a bad actor, still is, but they weren't actively threatening anybody. They were, supplying Hezbollah and Hamas with weapons that they used to attack Israel, but they weren't using their power as a state to cause aggression. These little incursions that can be dealt with without starting a major war. But what's happening now is that the powers that be are instigating the civil war in Syria. And on one side, you have Sunni Muslims that are represented by the Free Syrian Army and are chock full of the exact same al-Qaeda terrorists. Belhaj and al-Asidi and his crew of 600 are the core of a group of al-Qaeda terrorists that were flown from Libya into Turkey. Now, Turkey's a NATO nation, and they were allowed to set up a base there, and from the base in Turkey, they moved across the border into Syria and took over what was, at one point, just like in Libya, a real popular uprising in the Free Syrian Army. The Free Syrian Army is a group, or at the beginning, it was a group of army officers and enlisted men that broke away from the army in order to fight against Bashar al-Assad. Okay, now that's a legitimate uprising. But the leadership of the Free Syrian Army, and now most of its core, it was taken over by these al-Qaeda terrorists unleashed on Syria by the CIA. So on the one side, you've got the Sunni terrorists and the United States and NATO. On the other side, you've got Syria and Iran and Russia and China. Russia has vested interests in Syria. Syria is one of its largest clients of military hardware. The only deep water port where the Russians can dock where they have their own military base is in Tartus. They park their nuclear submarines there. And so they have a vested interest in making sure that Bashar al-Assad stays in power. Now, so do the Iranians, because the Iranians and the Syrians, well, the Syrian government anyway, are Shia. Okay, so you got Sunni on one side, Shia on the other. These people hate each other. If you haven't noticed, just about every single day there's a mosque being blown up somewhere in the world, and it's almost always Shia versus Sunni violence that's causing this.
Who's masterminding all of this?
Well, you've got two camps. On the one hand, there is the United States. Barack Obama personally makes sure that the Muslim Brotherhood gets everything that they need. He sent an ambassador and to meet with Mohamed Morsi, the current president of Egypt, long before there were any elections. And Mohamed Morsi is, of course, the president also of Egypt's Muslim Brotherhood. So, at an ambassadorial level, they send a representative from the United States to meet with a presidential candidate. That doesn't happen. Ambassadors are supposed to meet with heads of state, not presidential candidates. So, Mohamed Morsi was given a leg up by the United States government to take over the government in Egypt, and he is one of the top scumbags in the Muslim Brotherhood. And they're doing the same thing in Syria right now. Now, the Iranians have a completely different structure. The Iranians and the Syrians are, as I said, linked at the hip. Both of their governments are Shia in nature. The Syrians from a small sect of Alawite, but it's still Shia. And Syria is actually unique among Arab countries in that it has a very diverse population. They've got, as far as religion goes, they've got Christians. They've got, Christians amount for like 9% of the population. They've got Sunni, which is actually the majority, and they've got Shia, which accounts for about 10% of the population. But, historically, they've always gotten along until this civil war started. And now Iraq also, while largely Sunni in population, has a Shia government. Under Saddam Hussein, it was, the other way around. It was a Sunni president, but now it's a Shia government, and Iraq is practically controlled by Iran. So you've got Iran, Iraq, and Syria in a row. If you can picture a map, it's just like dominoes, 1, 2, 3. And the very next step is Israel. Now, a few months ago, the Iranian government released a videotape. It's called "The Time is Upon Us," or "The Coming is Upon Us," and what it basically is a propaganda for people inside Iran and the Muslim world, because what this video talks about is the coming of the 12th Mahdi. Now, the 12th Mahdi, for those that aren't aware, is basically the Shia Muslim version of Jesus Christ. He's the one that's supposed to, or he's been hiding in occultation in a well in the holy city of Qom since he was a little boy. Now, he's supposed to come up out of his well when there's enough blood and chaos in the world that he can take control of Muslim armies and march on Jerusalem and make it the capital of Islam. Well, which is kind of funny because one of Muhammad Morsi's lieutenants said the same thing. He wanted to get together an army of 20,000 martyrs to march on Jerusalem and make it their capital. So you got once again, you got the Sunnis and Shia. They're wanting to fight over Jerusalem now. But
Bob, in all fairness, and we're going to take a break here real shortly, but in all fairness, as far as the Middle East goes, I mean, Israel is basically the chosen land. So this sort of controversy, I think, has been going on for hundreds, if not thousands of years. So when we get back, maybe we can focus on that, answer that question. You're listening to the Truth Tonight Talk Radio. I'm your host, Roxy Lopez. Don't go away.
Hey guys, I just wanted to put this up here to let you know about something exciting that's happened with The Truth is Viral. I've opened up a new forum. You can find it at ttiv.forummotion.com, and I've got a complete archive of all my shows there. You know, we've got threads discussing each one of them opened up, and it's a great place for the TTiV community to get together and talk about the show and see what we can do to spread the word and maybe help save some lives. Now, I'm only one man, and as you know, I've got an extremely limited budget, and my health ain't the greatest. So I need your help. I need volunteers. I need video editors. I need graphic artists. I need people that know how to design web pages for the ttiv.net website. I need moderators for the forum. Anything that you can do, any skill that you have to offer, I would be honored to be able to make use of it. So go to ttiv.forummotion.com. There's a thread in the important announcements section where you can volunteer your services. You guys have been great so far. I love you all. But I still need your help, and I'm going to continue to need your help in a lot of ways because I am one man. I cannot do this alone. I depend on you.
Bob, you were just covering, really setting it all up for us. And, of course, the question I asked was, Israel has been the supposed, in many historical writings, the chosen land, the protected land. So when you just started lining all these up, one country after the other, Iran, Russia, Syria, sharing a little bit about Sharia law. And from what I know of Sharia law, that's not a good thing at all, Sharia law. And I hear, now you're saying, now Israel's next. So what I'm trying to wrap my mind around at this point, all right, is that I think for me, observing this, there's been a series of events in the Middle East involving Russia, China, Japan, U.S., and U.K. I mean, it's the constant players at the casino, if you will, and there's a cycle to all of this, and the cycle just goes around and around and around. And the game that's being played is the same game, different masks, different people, different names, and it's definitely around events like a 2012 event where it's the end of the world event, or a 9/11, or a it's just always an event that comes up that starts circulating. And what I'm hearing right now, and I'd like you to explain it, is what is Israel's position? Who is Israel's allies right now? And is the U.S. just taking the opportunity, the loophole moment right now to actually play Israel?
Oh, Roxy, you are so good. If I hadn't been married to a beautiful woman for 21 years, I'd marry you. Because let me tell you,
you have to fight over my husband.
You are absolutely reading my mind. Yeah, there is a big event coming. And both the Muslim world and the Christian world expect this same event. They just call it different things. And it's called the Magog War. And your point about Israel being the chosen land, you're absolutely correct. In Genesis 12:3, it says that I will bless them that bless thee, and curse him that curse thee. And in thee shall all families of the earth be blessed. Now, that was the blessing that God gave to Abraham and his descendants. Now, as you know, anybody that's ever gone to Sunday school knows Abraham had two sons, Isaac and Ishmael. Isaac ended up being the father of Israel, and Ishmael ended up being the father of the Arab world, which eventually became Muslim. Now, in the Middle Eastern culture, the firstborn always gets the inheritance. That didn't happen in the case of Isaac and Ishmael. Ishmael was the firstborn, but he was born the child of a slave, because, you know, everybody knows the story of Abraham's wife being barren until she was 90 years old. So in order to give Abraham a son, she sent her slave Hagar into him so that, you know, he could have a son. So he's basically, he was the firstborn, but he was born the child of a slave. He was not the child of the promise, because God said that Sarah would bear a son. Actually, it was an angel that said it to her, and she laughed.
Well, then that's one version of it, you know, for sure. What I think, what I'm looking at here, what I'd like to know more about is this a play on Israel using old historical, religious, or dogma passages, belief systems, and do we have a president that's actually playing Israel right now, playing that card? And if indeed that is the case, are we surrounding Israel with all of these, you know, getting in the pockets, if you will, lining the pockets of all the countries that are surrounding? If anyone wants to look at a map of Israel, look at all the countries we're talking about. These countries are all around Israel. And what would be the gain? What would be the gain if we decided to take down Israel? Why on earth would we do that?
There is no game. But
well, then what's the game? What's the game here as far as Israel goes? Because it sure does look like it appears. I mean, that's just one angle of it, by the way. That's just one angle of it. I guess what I'd like to know, in the bigger picture, what are we looking at as a United States? What's our military looking at? What is our commander-in-chief up to, and why?
Our commander-in-chief is evil personified. I am not prepared to go out on a limb and say that he's the Antichrist, but he is high up there in that system. He's making events happen in order to bring this Gog-Magog war about. Like you just said, he is surrounding Israel with hostile Islamist regimes, and at some point, they are going to attack, thinking that they can finally wrest control of Israel from the Jews.
Now, as far as, you know, from a CIA standpoint or an NSA standpoint or even Secret Service, is there anything, government documents that you've come across that support the theory that we would like to take Israel down? I mean, as far as that goes, I mean, I know this is a huge subject matter, lots of controversy, lots of dogma, huge religious dogma. I know Sean Hannity, who's a, you know, pal of yours, you know, talks about the Sharia law, the Muslim Brotherhood. I mean, he's on the air every day talking about this stuff, and it's getting to be the conversation is starting to get a little it's starting to get holes in it.
Yeah, I understand what you mean, but
because I think a false flag around the corner is what I'm saying.
Oh well, I wouldn't doubt that one bit. But here's the thing: this is the way I look at it. You do not have to be a Christian to understand what's going on here. What you have to understand is that even if you don't believe that the prophecies of the Gog-Magog war are divinely inspired, then all you have to do, though, is look at any Bible in Ezekiel 38 and 39, and every single one of the countries mentioned that's going to attack Israel, with the exception of Russia, is one that has experienced an Arab Spring uprising.
Now, I can see that. And here's the other thing. In all fairness, no offense to anyone who's listening, including yourself, Bob. In all fairness, with this age of enlightenment that we've had going on for quite some time, and this evolution and this awareness and the ability for us to communicate with other countries via the internet, et cetera, and social media sites, what's starting to take place is we're hitting a tipping point of awareness, and religious dogma is starting to become a very passé thing. And those who are sort of evolving out of it and becoming one, if you will, with spirituality, brothers and sisters, we're all one human family, that type of thing. How are they going to exercise or hold over the people this religious dogma that's turning out to maybe not be true, but we're bringing it, manifesting it into 2012 and forward as though it were the predicted to come masterful, prophecies?
Right. Well, you can see that these events are being made to happen, whether they're being made to happen supernaturally or whether there's a cabal of people at the top, which, I happen to believe, that are making these events happen according to biblical prophecy to make it, look like, these events were foretold, years, thousands of years ago. And, I believe that they were, but I believe personally that God is using these evil men to work his will. Now, a lot of people think Zionist, they think Jew. That's not necessarily the case.
You did not just say that God is using evil men to carry out God's will?
Absolutely.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Well, you see, this has all been planned by God, and he's letting them do what he's letting Satan work his will. This is Satan's time on earth right now, and Satan is using. So I guess I should say Satan is the one that's using the evil men to do his will, but God's allowing it.
What if you're not a believer in all this religious dogma? I'll just be straight with you. I've never been, never will be. So let's say I'm somebody who doesn't, that all of this sounds like, garbage to me. What if you're, you know what I'm saying, Bob, in all fairness?
Sure.
What then? So then you're saying no matter what, even though it's all in religious belief systems built into the religious pieces, that basically they're creating a big play for everybody to watch, as if
Roxy,
right?
You don't have to believe it.
Right.
The thing is, they believe it, and they're the ones that are controlling our foreign policy.
Gotcha.
And they're the ones that are making it come about according to Scripture. I
see. So whether it's true or not, they're orchestrating it. That's
exactly.
Which is pretty dangerous stuff. I mean, it's likely. I mean, I would say that would be definitely more of a likely scenario, and we are going to be moving into a break here real shortly, so I want to just address the callers right now. All of you callers that are on the line, we will take your call when we come back for the top of the next hour. So we're going to go to a break, and when we come back, we'll start addressing your phone calls, and I'm sure Bob will be happy to answer any of your questions. But in the meantime, Bob, I guess I want to know what your personal opinion of it all is, like as what you research as a reporter. Where are you? Are you standing in the middle on this? One side, left side, right side? Where are you?
Well, Roxy, I know we're going to agree to disagree on this, but I'm a Christian. I believe in the Bible. I don't believe it's the complete accounting of what's going to happen, because it says that the mysteries will be revealed. We haven't seen anything yet.
Okay. Hey, let's cut out of here, and when we get back, let's take some callers. You're listening to the Truth Tonight Talk Radio. I'm your host, Roxy Lopez.